right. We are live. Welcome back, Tim. Good to see you as always.
Likewise, David. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
And it's I'm a little off. Excuse me if I seem a little bit off, but we're usually a Friday thing, and today's Thursday, and I feel like I'm forgetting things, and my settings are off. But everything seems to be okay. I think we're live on LinkedIn and YouTube Shorts, by the way. It was a bit of a weird
Fantastic.
experience, but we're there. And today we want to talk about Copilot pricing. You shared a document with me, which I thought was very interesting, as interesting as Copilot pricing can be.
Yeah, there was something about Copilot. I think the main focus area for me looking at the UC space was the price increase in Teams. So basically, Microsoft's announced some pricing changes that come into effect on the 1st of April next year. And some of them relate to areas like Power BI, for example. So they're getting a price increase. But for me, I think the big one was really around Teams Phone and
Phone.
how that sort of relates to significant price increases, I think.
Well, there are two things that stood out for me. One is, phone has been for Microsoft and for their competitors has been big growth. Not as exciting as contact center. That's off the charts. But phone has been like, they're selling how much phone? So it's a winner for them already. And they're raising prices like 20, 25% in some cases. So this is hundreds of millions of dollars we're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. So myself and my team, we were frantically chatting away before we came to this meeting here today. And so there's 400 million Teams users out there, and there are 20 million that use phones. So there's 20 million Teams phone users. So that represents about 5%. So although Teams is primarily used for voice over IP, all of that stuff, is predominantly going through over the internet for Teams. But this is really about, we're talking about the ability to make a PTN call. And what we're seeing is there's going to be a price hike of 25% for Teams Phone standard users. So the current price today is $8 per user per month with annual pricing. That's going up to $10 per user per month with annual pricing. There's a price hike of $25 for frontline workers that use Teams Phone standard. So that's $4 today, $5 as of the 1st of April next year. And then we got things like Teams Phone with pay-as-you-go pricing. That's gone up by 18%. With a calling plan, that's gone up by 13%. The domestic and international calling is the least significant rise. That's gone up by 6%, $32 per user per month with annual pricing. Next year, on the 1st of April, it'd be $34 per user per month. So all of this, what does this mean? Well,
You shared this graphic with me, by the way. I hope this wasn't NDA.
No, not at all.
Okay.
So all I've done is taken Microsoft's announcement, which is publicly available on their website, and I just put it into a table. But what this actually means is a increase in revenue for Microsoft, anything in the region from $360 million to $480 million. So it's quite a significant amount of revenue increase for them. That's for sure.
Wow. And they can get away with it because it's, $2 a month, right? I mean, it's only $2 a month. It's only $1 a month in some of these.
Well, this is what's interesting, I think, David. Will this trigger a bit of a price war? Will we find other UC vendors saying, well, we haven't increased prices? And, I mean, I've looked at, this is below inflation, US inflation prices. So if you look at the cumulative inflation, it's something like 28% since 2017, I think.
Yeah, you shared another thing. They haven't raised prices in so many years that it's actually under inflation. Right. It's not outrageous.
That's right, and of course,
I'm ready to bash on Microsoft, but this isn't outrageous. It sounds outrageous. $300 million they're putting in their pockets for a service they're already making a profit on. Sounds a little outrageous, but it's really not. It's in line.
Well, and also need to think about the features that have been added since 2017. So there hasn't, 2017, no significant price increase. This isn't in line with inflation. They could have got away with a lot more. There've been some new features added to it, but of course, you are, if you're a Teams Phone user, are you going to say to your users, no, we can't afford this increase in price. We're going to switch you to a different plan, or we're going to change this. Now, what I'm interested in is
the switching cost is more than the increase.
Well, possibly. That's where I'm interested. It's like, well, what other companies have got a comparable UC&C portfolio. So arguably one could say Zoom with Workplace, Workplace One. But then, Zoom doesn't offer the mobile device management, the apps like, the content creation apps like Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. So it would be very difficult to pick out what you need, what you don't need. And I just think that people will just have to swallow hard and say, well, I don't like the taste of these price increases, but what are we going to do? So it's interesting to see. I just wonder whether or not we'll see other UC vendors following suit and saying, well, if Microsoft are raising our prices, so will we. So there's a lot of price compression going on in the market at the moment. Microsoft have decided that they're going to increase their prices. I don't know if we're going to see follow on from other UC vendors.
It's interesting, and a couple of points I had. When I turn my head to look at what I'm doing, I point my face away from the microphone, trying to be aware of that. I wanted to share the document you shared with me. Let me switch to this view so we can see the title of it. And it may be because I do want to bash on Microsoft a little bit. This is so crazy. This is how many pages? Like a 13-page doc with 50 FAQs about the new pricing. And people say, when people joke about Microsoft Copilot pricing is too complicated, ha ha ha, oh, how complicated can it be? 50 FAQs just to deal with this update in the pricing. It really is complicated. And when you read through each thing, there's nothing objectionable. There's nothing that doesn't make sense, but it's just so complicated. It's a lot. Is it me?
Yeah, it is a lot to digest. And I think partners will be trying to digest this for a few days to come. This was released 2 days ago. So this partner document, FAQ document for partners, was announced 2 days ago. 12th of November. Yeah. So I have a feeling they're having to communicate it out to their customers, their clients. This is more of an objection handling document, I think, than anything else.
Yep. And it's interesting because it's okay. Pricing, I say it's pricing updates for Copilot, but the price increase was all this phone stuff. Phone is in Copilot, but it says other products. So phone is the other products in there. So
that's right. Yeah.
And talking about the price war, something interesting in the price war, we talk about all the different Copilots and the pricing models, and it used to be bundled, now it's not bundled, and by the way, one of the big updates, not that it's a big deal, but just to show you that I read the document, is some of their things were annual, and now they're offering monthly. So you could do a monthly subscription, you get a discount on the annual. Not oh, it's such a big deal, but just that's the kind of stuff that's in this document. But with all the Copilots, the one that I think is the most important one, the one that I use, is free. And that's Copilot for Windows. That's the one that there's a button. I like this view better. Hold on, a little closer. That's the one that there's now a button on all of our keyboards and an icon on all of our task bars. And I click it and I open it up, and it's ChatGPT, basically. The way it works is ChatGPT, but Copilot for Windows, and that's free. So all this talk about pricing is so confusing, because what are you getting with the pricing? Well, you're getting Copilot for Teams, or Copilot for Healthcare, or Copilot for EDU, or Copilot for Word. Is that a thing? Or a Copilot for Outlook?
We tried that with Clippy years ago, didn't we? So I don't know whether or not this. I mean, I've always there was a little bit of a snarky comment made in many a partner back in the day, where there's mystery, there's margin. So I think there's a lot of people that are overpaying for subscription costs and licensing costs, not really knowing what they are getting. And that brings me into an interesting, earlier on in this week, I went to Avanade's analyst event, and Avanade are the company that are purely Microsoft. They are Accenture plus Microsoft investment. The whole company is focused on how can you get the most out of your Microsoft suite. Now, I don't know about you, but there's buttons and things that I haven't pressed on many an app that I know for a fact I'm not getting the most out of my Microsoft investment. So yeah. Avanade will come in and show you how you can align your business objectives, utilizing the Microsoft suite, how you can get the most out of your investment. I think this is where we need to go. It's not enough, you want to demonstrate the value. And I feel that Microsoft haven't done that. They sort of do a great job in promoting what they have, but when it gets installed, you rarely get, as an end user, you rarely get the training that you need. So we don't know how to set up workflow automation on ourselves. We don't know how to get the most out of Microsoft Teams. I don't know how to set up rules effectively and efficiently so that it makes me easier. It makes it easier for me to manage my email. There's so much there that we're not utilizing. I think there's a lot of people that really want to understand how we can get the most out of our investment. And I think Microsoft should be focusing there.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that because, you know, on the one hand, yeah, absolutely right. There's tons of features in all these UC products that people just aren't using, and it's not bloat. It's not developers, hey, look what I can do. I'm going to throw this in there. It's really good stuff. It's useful stuff. And I do want people to using them, and they do need training. But I feel like ideally this stuff should be so easy that you shouldn't need training. It reminds me of Salesforce, and I love to another one I love to hate on is Salesforce. Back in the day when I was at Wayne House, we paid, I don't know what it was, but it was thousands and thousands of dollars for Salesforce, and they demoed it and they showed us what it could do. And okay, I get it. This is amazing, super powerful. So back in the day, probably still super powerful software. But then, so how do we set it up? Oh, you hire another company for hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month to come in and set up your workflows and upload your client lists and download your lists and set up your team. And I'm like, I don't like the idea. I like software that I can use. I like software that anyone can use, you know, but at least software that I can use. You know, I'm a nerd. I click all the settings. I read all the instructions. If I need to hire someone to help me use a product, I want to blame the product. And I wanted to blame Salesforce for being too complicated. And now I'm thinking, do we need to blame, is Teams getting too complicated that we need to hire Teams experts to set it up for us?
Well, exactly. And it's a shame we didn't have Kevin on the call. And that would be a great follow-up with Kevin Keeler or Tom Arbuthnot or some of the people that are expert in this area, because arguably, you're right. If it was easier to use, you'd get the most out of it and you'd see the value. And, you know, we've got our favorites in terms of the UC sort of interfaces that we use on a daily basis. And one could argue, you know, why would I type the prompt in Copilot? Please show me the latest file I worked on with David. Why would I want to pay $30 per user per month to get that value? Because if I knew where I placed the darn thing, you know, I wouldn't have to ask Copilot to go and find it. You know, if it was easy to use, if we saved it away in, I don't know, a Zoom doc, for example, and we knew that's where we're going to go to update our schedule when we start streaming, and this is what we're going to discuss, that's easy to use. But if I've got so much content all over the place, why am I paying an extra $30 for Copilot to sort it out for me? It's going to be an interesting next few years as we sort of migrate through ease of use, what these digital assistants, agents, and Copilots are going to do for us. But at the moment, you know, I think that we will see some UC vendors saying, well, we're not going to, unlike Microsoft, we're not going to increase. And there'll be others thinking, can we get away with it? It's going to be an interesting next few years, I think.
Yeah, the price wars are so confusing because it's not like the usual price wars where we have our defined products and some people are charging X and some people are charging Y. We have completely different models here. Everything is so new. Just the way they're offering it. You know, Zoom just came out with Zoom AI Companion 2.0, and the market is so confused with the terminology. I don't think people understand what that really is. I think they think it's they've updated their companion. But it's not an update. It's a new product. It's a completely new thing.
Yeah. And I sort of asked the question, well, what was in 1.0? You know? Yeah. So
and our friends at Zoom say, you got a point. You know, there might be issues with the name. But I've been playing with it and it's helping me understand the price war, because I was having trouble with the price war because Zoom is saying ours is free. And I'm like, let me hit the button on my keyboard for free Copilot for Windows that draws pictures for me, by the way, which is really cool. That's free too. What's so how are you more free than them? And I didn't get it. But now that Copilot 2.0 is, and I made a video on this, it should come out next week. I'm using it the way I used ChatGPT with Word or whatever. I would have ChatGPT on the right screen, and I would have Word or Trello or whatever I'm working on my main screen. And I would say to ChatGPT, "Okay, I just wrote an outline for this. Can you help me with the introduction?" And ChatGPT would say, "Sure. Can you share it with me or paste it with me or whatever?" And that was like an extra step. With AI Companion, if I'm working in Zoom docs, I could just say to AI Companion, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And it says, "Yeah, I'm looking right at it." It's like it's looking over your shoulder at the document. That's what I think Microsoft is charging for. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to get Kevin or Tom on here, but I think, yeah, the Zoom, not the Zoom, the Copilot for Windows that I could ask it for recipes, that's free. But Copilot for Word, where it's looking at my Word document and it can say, "Yeah, I can see that and I can help you with it," that's, I think, what they're charging for. And to be honest, it has value. And the fact that Zoom's giving it away for free is a big deal. And now I think, I'm still not sure, but I think I get
Yeah.
it.
Well, this is going to be a confusing time, and like I said, where there's mystery, there's margins. So there will be people that will be over, that they'll be paying over the odds for what they need. And you know, when I was at the Avanade briefing, they were sort of saying there are people that either deploy Copilot everywhere and then sort of think, well, we tried the trial and few people are using it, or there's a select group of people that are using it, so we'll only pay the licenses with them for them. And then, of course, you get onto a Teams call and it's like, well, you haven't got the Copilot license, so you can't get the meeting transcription. You can't. It's just very confusing.
It's
So
messy.
it can be really, 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 really confusing. And like you say, if you have to rely on a third party to try and work it all out for you, and potentially pay them for trying to help you out, I do wonder whether or not we've got to a point where it's just far too complex. And if I was a UC vendor, I'd be thinking now is the time to start promoting my integration story with Microsoft, because there might be people that bulk at the price and think, you know what, well, let's have a new look at this, and maybe I should just go for an E3 plan. And if I the delta with the likes of Zoom or Ring Central or Cisco or any other UC vendor, am I getting essentially just what I need? Am I going for the Ferrari experience when what I need is a Ford experience? I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong analogy to use.
No,
But
no,
am I
I get it.
overpaying? Yeah. Am I overpaying for functionality I don't need?
But how do we answer that? Because we don't even know what we need yet. This is also new. I would have trouble if a company hired me to come in and say, "Help us do a needs assessment for AI." I'd be like, all right, let me roll up my sleeves. This is not going to be easy. I'll do
No.
it. I'll do it. By the way, I'm here. I'll do it. But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Or here's a partner that can come and help you. And I've got absolutely no doubt that, if you make the investment in a good Microsoft partner, they'll come in and they'll tell you what you can do, the power of the art of the possible. They'll try and align what you've got with your business needs and your business strategies and your roadmap. And that's definitely worth exploring. I think that's money well invested. But there'll be other companies that won't be able to afford that or feel that they don't need to do that. And they'll continue to roll it. There'll be IT departments that continue to roll this out and hope that end users figure it out for themselves. And that just leads to a poor user experience. People get disenfranchised, they get disengaged, the employee experience goes through the floor. And it's, why are we using all this sort of stuff? And we'll then start using WhatsApp or any freemium service offered by someone else. It's a mess. I don't know how we sort it out, David.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Like I said before, I don't like the idea of, okay, so I have Teams, it has all this power. I'm going to hire some company for hundreds of dollars a month to come in and help us set it up and make sure we're using it right. I don't like that idea. But what's the alternative? Okay, David, give us a better idea. If you don't, if I always think if I just say I don't like something, I should say what the right answer is. I don't know what the right answer is. You can't. I don't want you to get rid of the functionality. I love the functionality. I can't say how to simplify it. It's not easy to simplify. So yeah, I think these companies for now should exist, and I'm glad that they're there. I feel like it's funny. These companies are probably like, It's okay, Microsoft. Don't simplify things. Keep it complicated. As they're counting their money. Keep it complicated. We're loving this business, but
Yeah, it's like paying someone for an advanced driving test or driving lessons, advanced driving lessons. It's like, well, I know how to drive it, but how do I drive it properly, or how do I avoid crashes, or how do I, drive on the freeway better, or you're essentially paying someone else to help you with your experience, and that to me flies in the face of easy to use user interface.
It would be an
And
interesting study to do would be to research the companies that offer those kinds of setup help services for Teams and for Zoom and for WebEx and for RingCentral, and see if there's, how many there are out there, what they charge, what the differences, what the services are. Is it all the same thing, or are there not a lot, not so many for Zoom because Zoom is easier? Maybe that's a thing. The ones for WebEx offer different kinds of services because their customers use it differently. I would be, I want to know what all of a sudden, I want to know what these companies are doing.
yeah, that's a fascinating idea. I think you've just given me an idea for next year's research for Omdia, I think, David. Yeah.
I want to read that report.
It is interesting, isn't it? I mean, we've gone from talking about pricing, talking about user interfaces, talking about usability and employee experience. It's fascinating to see how a little change in one place can lead to all sorts of questions for enterprises, and indeed for analysts and influencers in this space as well.
Big butterfly effects here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like a final thought. We make fun of Microsoft. We expect Microsoft just to be complicated and all these pages and everything, and what are they charging for and everything. But we have to be fair. This is new, and we don't know what the right answers are. Even Zoom, which is known for being super easy to understand and anyone can figure out, I'm having to explain what's up with their AI strategy. What is AI Companion 2.0? How does it work with AI within the documents? And it's not because, they're dropping the ball. It's because it's new. It's complicated. They're figuring it out. So we're going to, Tim and I will be here to help you try to figure it out. Please, if we got anything wrong, let us know in the comments. And anything else before we wrap this one up?
No. Yeah. Of course, we got Microsoft Ignite. I think it's next week or coming
nice.
up. That's for sure. So we'll see, what's going on there. See
That'll
whether
be interesting.
there's any added features that justify a 25% increase in some of the pricing.
Yeah, those better be some good phone calls, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everyone watching. And thanks, Tim. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.